Hey, what's going on, guys? Jack YGO here, and today I just got back from locals and I came first place with Kozmo Phoenix Enforcer. Uh, these this deck with this card together is actually pretty crazy. It did really good this tournament. Um, Honestly, overperformed what I thought. Even though we put it together kind of last minute with me and my brother after I finished my shift at work, um, it did really good. So yeah, I'll just get into it and I'll explain it card by card pretty much. All right, so start with like the highest and lowest level ships, I guess. I'll do first one Dark Eclipser. Um, One of the like more like average Cosmos. Like it has its own niche to it, obviously. Uh, of course, it can't be targeted like most of the other ships. Can negate traps by banishing Cosmo cards from your graveyard, and the only downside of this is that when it does its float effect off of destruction, it only grabs or adds a card. It doesn't special it, so guess gotta keep that in mind. Next up, Triple Dark Destroyer, the best ship in the deck. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. On summon pops a card, and then unlike Dark Eclipser and like all the other ships, when this is destroyed, it banishes its cost to special summon a Kozmo from deck with a lower level. So yeah, just like one of the best cards in the deck. One Forerunner, like sort of like a bridge card, but it also comes up in like a decent amount of situations. Like I won one of my games because I top decked Forerunner, so or because I had Forerunner off of I think Tin Can, so yeah, comes in clutch a couple times. And then one Slip Rider, just to run the DPE package. Usually you run more like a pure build, but A because of deck space and B because you can pop your own Cosmo Towns with DPE. So that's it for the ships. You're only running 6 ships, but I don't want to keep it really bricky, so yeah. Speaking of bricks, but not really. On to the pilots. I go from highest level to lowest level again. One Dark Lady. I feel like one's like a really good amount because it's recurable with Cosmo Town and the traps are running later, or one of the traps running later. Yeah, it's a once per turn monster negate, not hard once per turn, keep in mind. So if this thing gets summoned back somehow, you can use it again. But yeah, I camp a couple times in the tournament, but overall is a solid one of. You can bump it to 2 in pure builds, of course, but yeah, for this build 1. One Farm Grill, its attack direct effect comes up every once in a while, but it didn't really come up for me this tournament. Almost did, but couldn't pay the life points, unfortunately. But yeah, a really solid card. If we're going for OTKs, especially with E-Telly, it's a really good card. One Straw Man. This can summon back stuff if you're banished. Pretty solid, especially in like grind games. This gets back your Cosmos, like your Dark Destroyer or your Eclipse or whatever. So that's like one niche exception where like Eclipser's effect is arguably better. Because you can Strawman special back like an Eclipser, and then the Eclipser pops itself at the end phase and then grabs like a Dark Destroyer or whatever Cosmo you want, essentially. So yeah, one Strawman. And then last but not least, triple Tin Can. Probably the best pile in the deck. During each end phase, keep in mind, not just your end phase, also your opponent's. Pay 500 life points and then reveal 3 Cosmos with different names, Cosmo cards, sorry, with different names from your deck, and then your opponent rarely picks 1 to add to your hand. The rest gets sent to your graveyard. Now that's like pretty important for this deck especially. So yeah, 3 Tin Can. I wouldn't run it any less. It's like the best pile in the deck. So yeah, and then rest of the monster just run the DPE package. 1 Dasher, 1 Celestial. Pretty self-explanatory. Not really running any like the stuff like the Plasma or Malicious because like you don't really get too many monsters out in the first place. So yeah, and Dasher, although it didn't come up because I only saw Fusion Destiny twice the entire tournament, unfortunately. But when it did come up, it was very strong. But if it were to come up more, it would have been a lot better. But yeah, I mean, I still came first, so I can't really complain. But yeah, Triple Fusion Destiny. I only saw it twice yet again, but when I saw it yet again, it was a blowout. So, 3 it has to be at 3. You can't really run Verte in this deck, so it's hard to rely on drawing it. But the rest of the cards in your deck, even if you don't see it, are strong enough as is usually. So, yeah. 2 Cosmo Town, only running 2 because you need deck space for the DPE package. And I feel like running more than 2 is really, really bricky. You don't want to really see more than 1 of this in your starting hand. So yeah, if you want to see it at all. 2 E-Telly. Now this card's at 2. This deck is got a pretty big power boost off of that. Camp a couple of times where not the second one mattered, but just seeing it mattered. But yeah, and it goes for game really easy like Farm Grill. And then lastly, the 1 tech card, the 1 litter removal. This card almost came up one game, but sadly it didn't come up the tournament. Yet again, this build was sort of put together like really quickly, but surprisingly enough, it worked out really, really well. So yeah, the main deck was like sort of like we just thought we always had an extra space, so we sort of threw in like a tech card because why not? But that could be like something like Called By or something that works better with the deck, or like a third of like an extra trap or something. So anyways, onto the traps, which is like a lot of the list. Triple back to the front. This synergizes extremely well with Kozmo Tin Can because you send your Cosmos to grave and then you special them back with back to the front, and then you immediately have access to 2 Cosmos on your opponent's turn. So yeah, 3 back to the front, one of the best traps in the deck. Triple Torrential Tribute, just an insane card in general. Can pop your own Cosmos, get their effects, can pop your opponent's stuff. There was a thing that came up in the game where I normal summoned Tin Can in one of the games. I normal summoned Tin Can, I had Torrential set because I was able to stall it for a while. And then I went Tin Can, tag out Chainlink 1 because I had a Dark Destroyer in hand, and then Chainlink 2 Torrential Tribute, so I wiped his whole board and then summoned the Dark Destroyer, and won me the game off of that. So yeah, Torrential Tribute's a solid 3 of. Triple Infinite Impermanence. Surprisingly enough, this tournament, even though I played through, I didn't play the most. Like I played a decent amount of against a decent amount of back row, but not too much. I'd say its spell and trap negation effect came up about the same amount for some reason as the actual monster negate. So yeah, just 3 impermanents are solid. Triple Solemn Strike. Insane going second, and also really good going first. It was good for, I went up against Bee Trooper, and no Armor Horn can special itself back, but if you Solemn Strike the special summon, which I did against the one guy, and he didn't have any recursion because of it, you can't summon back the Armor Horn. So yeah, it was kind of sitting in grave the whole game till I could kill him, which was pretty quick, but I mean, yeah, it's just a blowout card. Now into the 2 ofs, running 2 IDP. Just because it comes up in a lot of matchups, but doesn't come up in every matchup. It's also a good out to, if Eldritch plays wrong, then you can IDP their Eldritch and then banish both their Eldritches, or you can just special summon their Eldritch from grave. So, yeah, it's just good against combo decks too, and like a lot of other decks. Double Punishment, just because there's just deck space, pretty much. That's like about it. And also the DPE package, you don't always want to lock yourself out of the extra deck, and you have really good removal, like outside of just punishment. So yeah, that's 2 of that, and then 2 Trap Trick. 3 is kind of a brick, so we're just running 2, and that's why we're running 2 ofs for like punishment and IDP instead of just 1, and then having more variety. But yeah, that's enough variety as is, I guess, in the deck already. So yeah, 2 Trap Trick. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Onto the extra deck. But there's only a couple cards that matter here, and the rest are sort of just filler. 1 DPE, the main man, main guy of the show. This guy's just like way too good. Recursion every turn, a pop every turn, either player's turn, and a free special summon through Dasher and itself, I guess, and a free draw 2 or Pot of Greed through Celestial. So yeah, this DPE with the package is nuts. Especially in this deck too, because you can pop your own Cosmo Town, or you can pop your own ship and get floats instead of just itself. So, yeah. 1 Entis, if you have 3 running at 3, I only have 1, but it still worked out pretty fine for me, just because you're only running the 2 punishment. Doesn't really come up too much, but it comes up. And then Crimson Nova Trinity, the Dark Cubic Lord. Effect is whatever, but the main purpose of it is so it's a high punishment target. It was just like a last minute, just I'll pick this up to put in the extra deck, and actually came up because I don't have multiple Entis. Camp against Eldritch, so I didn't want to send any of my other stuff. So, but it's good for like high attack shit, so yeah. And then I was running 1 Mechaba with the Cyber Dragon Nova, just because you have the deck space, why not? Came up once actually, where he didn't know I was playing game 1, or he knew what I was playing, he just didn't know it was in my extra deck game 1, and he went Maximus against the some Shaw Invoked Automatica player, and I sent Nova and Entis, and surprisingly enough, I didn't win the game, but off of that, but just because Schism's a card, but yeah, it's still really good. And then for synchros, 1 Win Pegasus to send. Go on to links, 2 Relinquished Anima, and then 1 Linkaribo. Karambraster, which actually, it can come up, but like rarely does because of the low attack. It's hard to send off punishment. 1 Cerberus, 1 Fairjit, okay, one Phoenix, 1 Cerberus, and then 1 Fairjit to send, 1 Unicorn, 1 Appaloosa, 1 Boral Sword. You're like never using your extra deck anyways, and the only thing really using it is for DPE and punishment, so yeah. And then occasionally the link ones, if they have bad zone placement, Anima's a hell of a card, but yeah. So that's the extra deck. I'm actually going to go into the side deck that I have for the event, although it wasn't the best side deck. I just want to show you some like stuff with some of the side deck cards I was using that I went through the tournament. Of course, side note, I have the Judgments right here. Oh, that's a fluff of wings. I have the Judgments right here, but I would have put these in for, I'm not even sure what. I have to think about it, but yeah, I would have put these in hindsight, because as we were leaving to go to the tournament, because we were in a rush afterwards, because also we didn't really know what deck we were going to play until, or I was going to play until we got home. We started deck building and theorizing and stuff after my shift. But yeah, we were playing, we left, and then we were like, oh shit, should have put Judgments in the side deck, but you know, it is what it is. Lost a game or two, or no, just a game off of it, so, because we could have Judgment the Lightning Storm, but whatever, it happens. Onto the actual side deck, I guess. Triple Nib. This card synergizes really well with both DPE, of course, but also the Kozmo stuff, because you can chain link 1, you can tag out your Kozmo, and then chain link 2 go Nib, so you tribute all their stuff, and then special a Kozmo. And then if you go Dark Destroy, you can also pop the Nib token, so they have absolutely nothing. But yeah, it came up once, because I only really played against one like heavy combo deck. And, well, I guess not heavy combo, but enough to where Nib was really good in the main deck, and that was Bee Troopers. He summoned 5 monsters before going into Armor Horn. I think he just got really greedy and didn't really realize. Like, wasn't thinking about playing around Nib. So I just went Chainlink 1 Tin Can, Chainlink 2 Nib. So, it was pretty decent. Triple Droll, good into a lot of matchups, especially right now. But because we don't have a lot of deck space, we're not really running hand traps in the main deck. I would be main decking it if I were to choose 1 hand trap. Gamma is also a decent option in this deck because you're tagging out his cost. So if they negate it, then you just Gamma. But it really just, like, it depends. It depends on the format especially, too. And also, I guess Gamma is an E-Tally target if you really want to look at it like that. But, yeah. 1 Pank. Didn't really side it just because it's so tight. The deck space to side out in this deck is like extremely tight. Like max I was siding was like 4 or 5 cards against like Eldritch. So yeah, which by the way, this deck's Eldritch matchup is it's really good because they can't target your ships. So yeah. Side deck the Scythe package, just 2 Sanctum because of Trap Trick, and then 1 Scythe for side deck space, of course. But yeah, didn't come up. I only sided in once. Just because like my matchups, and I thought it was like I won going second. I guess I won in two times in a row, so didn't really come up. And then my game 3 is against Eldritch, so I only really got to decide in my last game. It was a 4-round tourney, but still, this deck did really good. So yeah, and then for the rest, just a whole bunch of back row hate. I might as well say game 3 against Eldritch, I opened 2 Cosmic Cyclone and 1 Feather Duster going second, because it was getting close to time, so I said I was just going to go second. And I opened these, E-Telly, Dark Eclipser, and Fusion Destiny, which was like the second time that tournament, and the second out of 2 times that tournament that I saw Fusion Destiny. So it actually like came up in clutch, so I was able to win in time. But I think I still would have the grind game anyway, so he didn't really have any follow-up, because he had to use his Scarlet Sanguine when I popped all the stuff with Feather Dusters, so yeah. But yeah, that was the deck that I topped with. I came first place with. Sorry, shouldn't just say topped. This deck was actually surprisingly, it's really good, especially like surprisingly in this meta. It works pretty well. So yeah, this deck's super fun too. I used to play back in Kozmo format. I never played Kozmo, but because I was like extremely budget back then. But yeah, I remember Kozmo being like a top tier menace for like I don't even remember how long, for like at least a couple formats. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. See ya.